Well, some small-town officials in Poland, they seem to have too much time on their hands. Winnie the Pooh is causing outrage. The much-loved animated bear has been banned from a Polish playground.
Unbelievable as it may seem, certain peculiar and archaic laws persist in our modern world.
Is that helmet legal?
It's not the helmet, it's the kit on it. Lights.
Continuing to raise eyebrows and prompt amusement. These regulations, often rooted in history, remain on the books despite their oddity and lack of practical application in today's society. Laws, both old and new, sometimes contain provisions that seem strange. Despite their peculiar nature, these laws often have historical origins and remain part of legal codes, even if they're not enforced or relevant to contemporary life.
Louisiana is like, no, not on my watch. You are not going to send anyone pizza.
Exploring these laws can offer insights into the historical context and evolution of legal systems, showcasing how bizarre laws you didn't know still exist today. No gums in Singapore. You know, sometimes a few people's wrong choices end up affecting everyone who wasn't involved in those actions. Well, that's the case in Singapore, where chewing gum is prohibited. The motivation for banning chewing gums was as a result of some people in Singapore sticking chewing gums to the bodies of trains. This cost the Housing and Development Board a whopping $150,000 to clean up this gum. In 1992, they stopped the placement of used chewing gums at inappropriate places and costly places, such as the sensors of subway doors, inside lock cylinders, and on elevator buttons. In 2004, there was an exception that existed for therapeutic, dental, and nicotine chewing gum reasons, which can be bought from a doctor or a pharmacist. And those caught chewing gum are liable to a fine or jail time. The fine can go from $2,000 when caught selling it, up to $100,000 or 2 years in prison. So yeah, chewing gum can be that serious in Singapore. More so, in Singapore they frown seriously at vandalism. Penalties attached to this strictness include not only fines, but also jail term with 3 to 8 strokes of cane. When caught damaging, destroying, and stealing public property, as well as drawing, painting, and scribbling on walls without owner's consent, can be considered illegal. Well, there is more to this. Not flushing the toilet can be considered an offense in Singapore. The light bulb moment. Under Victoria law, apparently it is illegal to change a light bulb without a valid license in Australia. At first it sounds practically insane, but you just need a valid license to do so. This means that only certified electricians are allowed to change them. One can be charged with a fine of 10,000 Australian dollars if caught changing a light bulb without a valid license. However, a revision to the 1998 Electricity Safety Act updated this law. But this can be a little extreme, knowing fully well that electricity can be dangerous and terrifying, especially when you do not know what you are doing. For sure, it's not the most difficult task in the faces of electricians, but the job has to be done. While the Electricity Safety Act makes it illegal to do your own electrical work if you are not licensed, changing a light bulb and removing a plug from a socket were specifically exempted for the professionals. Now you may be wondering, what if on Saturdays or Sundays at night when the light bulb fails or stops working and you need the light bulb to see what you are doing? Do you need the services of a professional to fix it for you, or you just have to do it yourself? It is illegal to forget your wife's birthday in Samoa. For men who live in Samoa, you will get more than a silent treatment if you forget your wife's birthday. It is implied that you will get a warning for the first offense committed. But if he repeats the same mistake the second time, he will be made to face a jail term or be fined. Forgetting your wife's birthday might land you in prison for as long as 5 years. Wow, that is unbelievable. But it is true. Samoa is a beautiful and unique island, known for its strict adherence to the law. In Samoa, there is a special team that ensures that this law is strictly followed. A special team works to ensure that this law is carried out. They take immediate action on receiving such complaints. Additionally, there are awareness camps aimed at educating wives about their rights in the law. It is a legal requirement to smile at all times in Italy. For some of us who love to frown our faces at everybody and everything that passes by us in Milan, the law compels you to smile. I mean, what's with the long face? This law was prescribed by the city regulation from Austro-Hungarian times and was never repealed. In Milan, Italy, it is a requirement for everybody to always smile except during funerals or hospital visits. This country forbids you to frown at any time. Getting caught frowning can land you in prison or you pay a fine. Everybody smiles, even when they get up from bed in the morning or when having a bad day at work. Once you are there and stop smiling by mistake, you can be arrested for attempted sadness and be made to spend the night in jail. You can't even wear integral helmets when riding bikes.
Is that helmet legal?
It's not the helmet, it's the kit on it. Lights.
You might stop smiling without the police noticing, which is an offense. Well, there are other things to know about these people. In Milan, the people smile at everyone, and at strangers on the road. Doesn't cost anything to smile at someone. At first, it felt weird for some of those who just moved in, but as time went by, they got used to it and adapted. Milan is a great place to be. It is known to be one of the 4 biggest fashion capitals in the world. They have beautiful architecture, delicious food, and lovely corners. So chin up, the smiling faces will do a whole lot of good. It is illegal to let your chickens cross the road in Quitman, Georgia. Believe it or not, in Georgia, it's a regular thing for people to let their chickens cross the road. The law wants owners to have their chickens under control at all times. And seeing your chickens roaming the streets of Quitman, Georgia can put you in serious trouble. The fine for this can be up to $50 or 30 days in jail. The people of Georgia like to ensure the safety and sacredness of their chickens, because in Gainesville, Georgia, you eat fried chicken with your bare hands, not the forks and knives. The law in Quitman, Georgia, describes chickens as a culinary delicacy. The reason for this strict enactment can vary from person to person. Some say it's to protect the chickens from being run over by oncoming vehicles. Others say it's to prevent traffic accidents caused by distracted drivers. More so, the country frowns at it if your animals, such as geese, ducks, ostrich, or even pigs, cross the road. They should be kept under protection by their owners and not left wandering the streets. It is expected of you to keep them under control, and you are liable to any damage they cause if they escape. This law has left so many dumbfounded and bewildered, but that's the law. Whether you like it or not, they have to be kept under protective watch or be made to pay a fine. No sending a surprise pizza. Louisiana is known for its crawfish, Mardi Gras, and jazz. It is rich in culture and history. This unique state serves Creole cuisine and is home to preliminary personalities. But it will interest you to know that there is a law in Louisiana, in the United States of America, stating no sending a surprise pizza to anyone, or else you will have to face the law.
Louisiana is like, no, not on my watch. You are not gonna send anyone pizza.
This law has left netizens wondering why anyone should go to jail for sending a surprise pizza. The reason is not far-fetched. In Louisiana, when sending a surprise pizza, you need to inform the intended receiver first of the surprise before it gets there, or you may have to face some serious jail term or pay a $500 fine for doing so wrongly. Yeah, sending a surprise pizza is harmless, but the law frowns at it. The law came about after a series of prank calls in which pizza deliveries were made to unsuspected victims, often in the middle of the night. The victims would be forced to pay for the pizzas or face legal action from the company. So, don't send a surprise pizza to a friend unless you're up for a $500 fine. It is illegal to fly kites. Imagine a lovely spring day with a gentle breeze and you decide to head down to your local park to fly a kite. Then suddenly someone yells at you for causing a disturbance with your kite. Well, that happens to be the case in Victoria City in Australia, where you could be breaking the law for flying a kite. Since 1966 in Victoria, Australia, it is illegal to fly a kite in public space if it bothers someone else. One can face a penalty of $777 fine for doing so. Playing a game in a public space becomes even a problem for people because it's probably going to annoy someone. It is stated in Section 4 of the Summary Offense Act that anyone who flies a kite or plays a game in public places to the annoyance of any person is guilty of an offense. The public places include parks, churches, railway stations, boats, schools, and markets. One significant reason why flying a kite could be considered improper is that in some countries, they are technically considered a type of aircraft. Yeah, it may sound ridiculous. In their jurisdiction, you can only fly a kite below a height of 60 meters, which is over 157 feet. For any higher, you would need to seek special permission. Also, kites must have colored streamers or pennants on the string, at least every 15 meters, which is about 50 feet high. So before you head out to fly a kite in Victoria, Australia, be sure to double-check the rules in your area. It is illegal to wear a fake mustache. Men in the vicinity of Alabama, USA, who are caught wearing fake mustaches that incite laughter will face serious legal consequences. Feel free to wear a fake mustache unless your intention is to provoke laughter during a church service. This law in Alabama has been on the books since 1800, which is a fascinating expectation of how social norms can evolve over time. At the time the law was passed, there was a time when people were not treating church service with the proper level of solemnity and respect. Fake mustaches were a popular accessory, and some people wore them to church as a form of entertainment. The law was intended to discourage this behavior and ensure that people treat church services with the seriousness they deserve. To understand the role of churches in the 1800s, it's important to consider the broader historical context. During this time, America was spreading westward, with religious institutions playing a significant role in shaping the morals of communities across the country. During the 1800s, mustaches also had a particular culture of significance. For men, having mustaches was often seen as a sign of masculinity and maturity. Some men also went to cultivate their facial hair by growing them, using creams and oils to promote the growth of their hairs. On the other hand, the use of fake mustaches was often associated with deceit or dishonesty, particularly in the context of politics or social events. Now, the state passed a law in the mid-1800s that it is illegal to wear fake mustaches in public places. While people deemed it as an outlaw for modern viewers, there were a few different factors at play. First, the use of mustaches were associated with criminal activities such as robbery or fraud. Additionally, some lawmakers felt that mustaches were a way for men to disguise their true identities or hide their social status. Today, this law is still on the books in Alabama. It is illegal to be in charge of a cow in Scotland while drunk. Admittedly, Scotland is a pretty weird place with strange regulations that will have you scratching your head in disbelief. One such rule is the Licensing Act of 1872, which forbids anyone in charge of cattle from getting drunk. Of course, the rule also extends to other things like carriages, horse, or even a steam engine, which makes more sense. Also, drunk Scots are prohibited from possessing a firearm, a law the United States should really consider. Anyway, any perpetrator caught will find themselves spending up to 51 weeks behind bars or paying a fine of up to £200. While this sounds like a pretty fair rule, Scotland also enforces many other strange laws. For example, it is illegal for a boy under the age of 10 to see a naked mannequin. However, we can't really tell who will be liable should such a thing happen. Would the parents face the consequences, the boy or the owner of the mannequin? Needless to say, no one has really been charged with this offense since the rule was introduced. It is also illegal to fish for salmon and sea trout on a Sunday, and an even stranger version states that it is illegal to be found holding a salmon in suspicious circumstances. Can't help but wonder what suspicious circumstances mean. No high heels. This law is a strange one for those who love to travel and explore the world. If you are taking a trip to Greece anytime soon, make sure not to pack only high heels, because if you do, then you will not be able to visit the Acropolis in Athens or Parthenon. In 2009, the country banned wearing high heels there. The law was made because of concerns that heels would scratch and damage the stones. Although the rule was seemingly important and had to be made, as it turned out, people's shoes had been damaging the site. During ancient Greece, platform shoes were crafted for actors, symbolizing the elevated status of story characters in performances, often denoting the upper class, nobility, or royalty. During ancient Rome, high heels, referred to as bushkins, were designed with high wooden cork soles, created for women seeking companionship with men for pleasure. Ancient Greek heels were used for theater. These heeled shoes were more similar to platform sandals. The height of these shoes was used to elevate characters that were deemed the most significant in the theatrical production. Also, when visiting Athens in Greece, you will want to leave your snacks behind, as this is not allowed either. The rules are there for the monument's protection and preservation. Places like Parthenon and Acropolis have slippery surfaces, and so it is advisable to wear shoes with a grip which most heels do not have. This could save you from a painful fall. Avoiding footwears such as flip-flops and flats can also help prevent injury while visiting historic sites. So, if you happen to forget to put on your heels, you could be stopped and asked to remove them, or otherwise asked to leave and come back later in shoes that comply with the appropriate dress code. Florida's Weird Wind Law. Living in Florida comes with many perks, but being able to pass wind whenever you want isn't one of them. This weird law, which was first introduced in the 1800s, forbids Florida residents from passing wind in public places after 6 p.m. on a Thursday. It's quite unclear why this strange rule was introduced, but over the years it has basically vanished into obscurity. The law expressly states that it is illegal to annoy the community or corrupt the public morals, so this might be subject to personal interpretations. Although it's quite unlikely that anyone would get arrested for breaking this rule today, it still remains a valid legal principle. Why did the lawmakers specifically choose Thursday? How did this law even come into effect in the first place? We're sure there's a pretty interesting story behind this. Scotland's restroom rule. Under Scots law, if a stranger knocks on your door asking to use your toilet, it is illegal to turn them away. This bizarre law stems from an old Scottish common law which requires that hospitality be shown to all guests, whether they are strangers or close acquaintances. While this rule has not been officially authorized by Parliament, technically, it's still enforceable today. Strange as it may seem, this law helped enhance the bond of community in Scotland back in the day. However, it's quite unlikely that anyone will open their door to a stranger today just because of an ancient archaic law. It is illegal to die without a burial plot in Sarparenx, France. Back in the day, the mayor of Sarparenx, a small town in France, issued an edict forbidding people from dying within the city limits unless they own a burial plot in a local parish cemetery. According to this pretty strange law, people who broke this rule would be severely punished, although it's quite unclear how the officials hope to punish people who are already dead. The law was introduced as a consequence of being told his parish could not purchase more lands to increase their burial plot. Of course, the mayor would later apologize for any upset caused by the ruling, although his apology was conveniently scheduled around the next election cycle. It's worth noting, however, that Sarparenx is home to only 260 residents, although we don't see how that makes predicting deaths any easier. It is forbidden to dress like a clergy in Alabama. According to a criminal code in Alabama, it is illegal to pretend to be a minister of a religion or any other member of the clergy. Anyone found breaking this code will be declared guilty of a misdemeanor and required to pay a fine not exceeding $500, according to Alabama Code Title 13A to 14A. Even worse, such a perpetrator can also be thrown into the county jail for not more than 1 year, so this is a pretty serious rule. Whether on Halloween, for a costume party, or on any other day, dressing up as a priest, nun, rabbi, or any form of clergy is seriously frowned upon. It is illegal to eat frogs that have died in frog jumping competitions. According to California's Fish and Game Code, Article 2, frog jumping contests, any number of live frogs are allowed to be used in frog jumping contests. However, if any of these poor little creatures pass on or are killed during the contest, it is illegal to eat them. The law specifically states that such frogs must be destroyed as soon as possible and may not be eaten or otherwise used for any purpose. In case you're wondering what a frog jumping contest is, it's basically what it sounds like. A competitive pastime where people pit frogs against each other to see which can jump the farthest distance. It's a very popular competition in the United States, especially in places like California. It's time for the subscriber's pick. This image shows Ivana Knoll, an influencer making headlines in the Croatian team's opening matches, causing a sensation for her provocative wardrobe choices at the World Cup. She hails from Germany and was previously crowned Miss Croatia back in 2016. She follows her impressive rise to fame by gracing the prestigious 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar with her presence to cheer Croatia. Additionally, more than 1 million tourists from all over the world were forewarned about the Muslim culture, including what to wear in stadiums. Nonetheless, the influencer, Ivana Knoll, disregarded the strict warning in Qatar that forbids exposing any part of your body. The image of her walking down the stairs during the game, where Luka Morris's team defeated Belgium at the Ahmed Ben Ali Stadium, raised concerns from different people. However, she claims she has no problem with local authorities because of her revealing outfits. What do you think about her choice of outfit? Feel free to share with us in the comments section. It is illegal to dye a baby chick in Illinois. In the state of Illinois, it is forbidden to sell, offer for sale, or display living baby chicks which have been dyed, colored, or imparted with an artificial color in any way or form. We can't really tell why the lawmakers came to this strange conclusion, but the law appears to be very valid and strictly enforced. As a matter of fact, baby chicks are not the only animals implicated in this regulation. Even ducklings, goslings, all types of fowls, and rabbits are prohibited from being dyed or artificially colored. This particular law goes even further to prohibit the sale of these aforementioned animals as pets, unless the purchaser has made proper arrangements for breeding facilities. But that's not all. It is also unlawful for anyone to give away these animals as novelties or prizes. To shield against the abuse of this regulation, the state clears the air by stating that the law does not prohibit the commercial sale or agricultural production of these animals, except that they should not be dyed. Sounds pretty clear, right? Playground rules in Kansas. Everyone wants to be a baby forever. We all crave the naivety and innocence that comes with childhood. But in Kansas, once you're over the age of 14, you're prohibited from having fun at the playground. Adults who want to relive their childhood memories at the park will have to opt for the several inclusive playgrounds that have been springing up all over the state. Many parks in the state clearly state in their policy agreement that the facilities are designed for use by children under the age of 14. This ensures the safety of the children while protecting them from predators and unforeseen dangers. Switzerland's hiking rules. In the Appenzell-Ausserrhoden region of Switzerland, a man decided to take a hike wearing only socks and shoes, and nothing else. On his way, he walked through a clinic where an innocent family was enjoying the beautiful day. The family was appalled by this man's brute disregard for decency, and after he was arrested, he was made to pay a fine of 100 Swiss francs, which is about $100. When this story broke out on the internet, it sparked quite a controversy. This is probably due to the fact that Switzerland does not essentially have a law prohibiting public nudity. However, there is a rule against public indecency, although it has been the subject of heated debates for quite a while now. Hiking naked breaches this rule and attracts a hefty fine. Beyond the legal consequences, it's only common sense to put some clothes on when you're going outside, especially in places where children can be unnecessarily exposed. Although quite strange, this one seems to hold some water. It is illegal to wear a Winnie the Pooh shirt in Poland. Winnie the Pooh is one of the most beloved cartoon characters in history, but believe it or not, wearing a Winnie the Pooh shirt in a Polish playground will get you on the wrong side of the law. According to Polish authorities, this is because the cartoon character is considered a hermaphrodite, and according to the officials who made the rule, Pooh displays a dubious sexuality and inappropriate dressing. Its incomplete wardrobe makes it inappropriate for children, and it sets an example the officials don't want Polish children to follow. While this may sound like the rants of an overzealous lawman, the edict was signed into law, and trespassers face a pretty serious punishment. British Parliament dress code, perhaps the strangest law in Britain, is the one that prohibits the members of Parliament from wearing a coat of armor. According to the Bearing of Armor Act, which dates back to the year 1313, putting on such an outfit will lead to some serious consequences. The law was introduced by King Edward II in an attempt to prevent the nobles from threatening to use force when Parliament was called. According to historical records, the Earl of Lancaster still attended Parliament carrying weapons until at least 1319, so it's pretty clear why such a rule was made. Although things are pretty civilized now, and no one in their right mind would show up in the parliament with a coat of armor, the law still stands and is strictly enforced. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.